Jai Suparikar Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Govinda Jiu Ki Jai Shri Radha Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Mahabhagavad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Vaishnava Sarvabhaum Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Shri Gauri Vedanta Charya Baladev Jibhushan Prabhu Ki Jai Jai Rasika Shiromani Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Jai Shri Narottam Das Thakur Ki Jai Shri Narottam Das Thakur Avirbhav Mahamahotsav Titi Ki Jai Personality of Gaur Prem Srila Narottam Das Thakur Ki Dham Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Govardhan Dvadashavanatmaka Shri Braj Mandala Dham Ki Jai Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Tri Bhuvana Pavana Harinam Samkirtan Ki Jai Tri Bhuvana Mangala Harinam Prabhu Ki Jai Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Ki Jai Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsi Devbai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Swami Maharaj Then Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Shri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Then Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Shri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. My Dandavat pranams to all my Shri Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga, especially on this. This is from his lecture on October 13th, 2014. So he's telling that the Avirbhav and the Tirobhav titis of Vaishnavas are equally worshipable. Their remembrance is our duty, whereas their forgetfulness is our greatest source of misfortune and difficulty. Simple formula. You remember them, and it's your greatest good fortune. And if you forget them, oh, it is our greatest source of misfortune and difficulty. Vipada. The word vipada. Vipada above Tam Das Thakur, but for us it's the Avirbhav. He took birth as the son of Raja Krishnananda in Keturi village, in the town of Gopalpur of the Rajsahi district. So in later pastimes, in his very own birthplace is where that festival, Keturi festival, took place. Now, once as Sri Chaitanya Dev was passing through that area and on his own Sankirtan, he called out, Narottam, Narottam, but nobody could understand why he repeated that name. For a bath when he was 12. And while having bath in the river, Narottam received the prem that Mahaprabhu had deposited there for him. And Narottam became overwhelmed in Krishna prem thereafter, at only 12 years of age. Wouldn't that be nice if Mahaprabhu had come through this area and deposited down in dry? Can you imagine? All of a sudden your dark child becomes very golden. It actually took place. Now, receiving the title Thakur Mahashai, Narottam grew to be a very intelligent and wise child. And soon he lost all interest in material life. And he desired to go to Vrindavan. Have we seen any cases of that in recent days? Of 12-year-old children, 13-year-old children, just no interest and desiring only to go to Vrindavan? No, I'm talking about recent days. Yeah. Do we see that nowadays? There are many, many children who are born to devotees all over the world now. But do we see any cases like this? Yeah, you know, he's pretty close. But yeah, I mean, because why?
He's friends.
Huh?
He was royalty.
He's the son of a king. His father is king of a whole area. He's extremely wealthy family. So he's prince. So never in his life had he walked by foot. Formerly, he had always been carried by palanquin. And even to take a bath, he would go by palanquin, accompanied by musicians. Kind of like Ramananda Roy, when he came in the high, but it must be some manifestation of the Lord. So eventually he reached Vrindavan, and there he studied the Vaishnava scriptures under the tutelage of Srila Jiva Goswami. His fellow pupils were Srinivas Acharya, still by Jiva Goswami met him. But Jiva Goswami did not directly, except as a baby. Because when Rup Sanatan and their brother, what is it? Anupam, yeah. Sri Ballabha also, he was called. So when they came to see Mahaprabhu the first time, then Jiva Goswami was brought by them as a baby. But Jiva Goswami, I'm not sure if Rupa and Sanatan, I think they already left the world. No. Raghunath Das Goswami was there, because he lived into older age. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And you know, Jiva Goswami, when he came, because he was so learned, prior to coming, Jiva Goswami had studied in Varanasi. And he became the Siddhanta Acharya at that time. So, but imagine, during this time that Narottam, real mood of approaching the spiritual master. And the story of Narottam Das Thakur is very, very instructive in this regard. But what is the mood, the true mood of approaching Sri Guru? Now, on the order of Srila Jiva Goswami, Sri Narottam approached Sri Lokanath Goswami for Diksha. We've been to that place many times. It's quite on the outskirts. forget the name of that sub-forest. But we've gone to, and the Chat.
And the Chat.
Chat.
That's the spot?
Well, there's a few places during the month. That's one of the spots, yeah.
That's the spot where the
right near there. Yeah. So, at that time it was just forest, and even now it's mostly just a small village with fields, agricultural fields. So, Sri Lokanath Goswami, however, he had vowed that he would not accept any disciples, because by giving Diksha, whatever sins a disciple commits, no king can remain religious, dharmic. This has been mentioned in the Manusmriti. So, seeing no other opportunity to serve Srila Lokanath Goswami and to attain his grace, so Srila Narottam Das Thakur would go to the forest in the middle of the night to clean the area where Srila Lokanath Goswami would go to attend nature's call. And with a broom, Das Thakur would clean the entire area, and he would strain the mud with a cloth, leaving only fine, soft mud to cleanse the hands. They didn't use soap then, they just used the earth. So Srila Lokanath Goswami was astonished to find the entire area suddenly so clean, even being free from dry leaves and stones, and himself as Narottam. He said, Lokanath said to him, you are a prince doing such menial work? What is the purpose behind this? And Srila Lokanath Goswami demanded to know. Young Narottam explained, I am seeking your mercy. And at that point, Srila Lokanath Goswami's heart melted. Thakur. What an ideal Narottam demonstrated. Is so powerful that it subjugates even Bhagavan. Next section is titled, Most Suitable Person to Propagate Mahaprabhu's Teachings. So likewise, our Param Gurudev, who? Prabhupada approached him, Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj said, I forgot to ask Mahaprabhu. And when he requested again, and Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj explained, Mahaprabhu has declined to give. You have conceit. You have conceit, and hence you cannot be awarded Diksha. But Srila Prabhupada did not give up. Very suitable person to propagate. And being pleased, Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj smeared his own foot dust over the whole body of Srila Prabhupada as a blessing. Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj was a nishpaksha. Nishpaksha, without any prejudice. You know, like Krishna Paksha, he was like a prince and so exalted and from such a background, and Lokanath Goswami wouldn't accept. But by his determination and by his very, very menial, submissive, and extremely sincere seva, then the heart of Lokanath Goswami melted. So whenever this is Gandharvika Giridhari Shishirada Govinda Jiu Ki Jai, Itai Gauranga Ki Jai. Now on the way, they would take turns remaining awake at night to guard the literatures. Can you imagine? Like, these are the only literatures. existing at that point. But as luck would have it, the king had an astrologer who calculated and said, a priceless treasure is passing through your kingdom. So the king sent some thieves to loot the treasure, but he warned against killing anyone. So the thieves stole the boxes, big iron boxes, brought them to the king, and he leave this place unless the stolen scriptures are recovered. It will certainly be good if I find the scriptures, otherwise I will simply leave my body at this very place. So Srinivasacharya, he decided to remain in Vishnupur while instructing Narottam and Shamananda. He told them, preach whatever you have learned through the medium of ever. Them eventually surrendered. Smarta Brahmanas were against Srila Narottam Das Thakur, and they complained to their king, Nrsingadev, who was very influential, that Narottam, despite being the son of a Kayasta, that's a Kshatriya or administrator, so he was giving mantra to everyone, including the Brahmanas, and so he should be called, you know what that is? One who sells tambul, who sells betel leaf stuffed with various spices and fragrant substances such as cloves, cardamom, camphor, nutmeg, betel nut, and so on. And then some of the other disciples disguised themselves as grocery store keepers. Actually, there's a photo here that says Sri Sri Radha Vraj Mohan.
One of the 6 sets of deities.
Yeah, in Vrindavan, the deities of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. This, we have a picture of them here. Look at this picture. For to venture there, as the place was infested with many poisonous serpents, so Narottam affirmed that he didn't mind. He was not harmed by any snakes as he entered, and there, what did he discover? He discovered 6 deities who were actually being guarded by those poisonous serpents. And the names of the 6 deities discovered were Acharya, to perform the Maha Abhishek, while Shamananda, Ramchandra Kaviraj, and you are performing Kirtan. Invite all the Vaishnavas in and around Gauda Mandala, Kshetra Mandala, and Braj Mandala, and befittingly arrange everything. So although Narottam Das was a prince, he had bequeathed his throne to his cousin Santosh. So it was King Santosh who made all by her there would be no scarcity. And under the auspices of Janavamata, all the great Vaishnavas were seen off in a befitting manner by King Santosh. Here's a little description. Massive cement tanks were constructed in which khichdi, rice, dal, curries, and kheer were separately. Do we also have that experience? Huh? As soon as we hear this, what do we think of? Vrindavan is still small scale. Navadvip Parikrama.
Mountains of rice.
I mean, there, I have it emblazoned in my memory. I can see it right now. That kitchen, that's men lifting, you know, the bamboo poles simultaneously, and they lift it, and they make all kinds of signals and sounds and everything. Then they put it down a few feet later. Then they lift it again. And this is how they're moving them, right? And they come by trucks from Jagannath Puri. on the backs of trucks, you know. I mean, this is something from ancient times. You can imagine they're not using anything whatsoever of modern facilities. All this wood fires, you know, and manpower. But the expertise of those cooks, you know, they have been doing this their whole life, actually, you know? Yeah.
Also, when they're stirring, they're using like big shovels.
Right.
Big,
Oh, yeah.
You know, but not like our shovels, like you're saying, also natural shovels. But that's what you're. Can you imagine?
Well, they use. I don't know. They're not called shovels. They're not like for. They do have shovels as well.
I've seen.
But for stirring,
no giant.
They've got these
like
with the
yeah.
The ends are very sharp and wide, so it's like they're, you know,
Yeah, they
because
look like Lord Shiva's trident kind of, but without the spokes, but shaped kind
yeah,
of.
yeah. But the end
Right.
of it is, I don't know what the instrument kitchen is.
Paddle?
No, but it's anyways flat.
Flat.
Okay, so just like when they want to make halava or something, and like 5 feet wide and, you know, this tall, so the amount of khichdi that they can make in this gigantic wok, I think it takes like almost 2 of those huge cement tanks to be able to fill. So yeah.
And everybody is fed.
Yeah.
Not only the devotees, but then they feed the villagers.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
amazing, like endless.
Yeah. I remember going with Gurudev, you know, because in the Sringapalli. So that's the longest day. And that all the Western devotees, because the Western body devotees are a little bit bigger usually, and he wanted all of them to stand around the khichdi, big huge pots of khichdi that were placed here and there to guard them. Because as the khichdi was being distributed on the sweet, I wait the whole year, every year, just to taste this khichdi prasad. You know, so we have those wonderful experiences. So Govinda Kaviraj, the brother of Ramachandra Kaviraj, he is famous for his kirtan Bhajahure Mana, Sri Nandanandana. He was previously a worshipper of Shakti, a Shakta, meaning Durga. And when he fell ill, Ramachandra Kaviraj desired that his brother should have the remembrance of Bhagavan towards the end of his life. And so he prayed to Srila Narottam Das Thakur, "You are Parama Vaishnava. By your desire, my brother will attain the mercy of Bhagavan. For his auspiciousness, kindly recite the Srimad Bhagavat." He became a Vaishnava. So after the Kaitari festival, Srinivasacharya came to Vrindavan along with Ramachandra Kaviraj. And when we visit Vrindavan, we see that alongside the samadhi of Srinivasacharya is the samadhi of his intimate servitor, Ramchandra Kaviraj. Yes. So, in the mood of great separation, on the disappearance day of Ramachandra Kaviraj, 2 great works sprang from the lotus mouth of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. We just learned when these songs came. One is called Prem Bhakti Chandrika, and the other one is Prarthana. So this is, you know, on the disappearance day of Ramchandra Kaviraj. These scriptures were widely printed, so much so that they follow just after the publication scale of the Bhagavad Gita. And in his childhood, our Param Gurudev, Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, he never used to study school books. And instead, he spent his time studying spiritual scriptures. And the kirtans of Srila Narottam Das Thakur were his life and soul. And he remembered them all, word for word. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote a commentary in Sanskrit on Prem Bhakti Chandrika, and he wrote this verse. Yeah, okay. Okay, all right.